This is an ABC News special report.
Good morning. I'm George Stephanopoulos. We are rejoining you again because President Obama is about to speak in the White House Rose Garden about the violence that broke out in Libya overnight. As we have said, 4 Americans killed, including the U.S. ambassador. It came when a group of armed and angry militants attacked the consulate there. They had guns. Appears to have had rockets. They set the consulate on fire. There were several Americans inside being guarded by Libyan security. And at the time right now, we do know that the ambassador and 3 other Americans, including an information officer, have been killed. It was all sparked by an anti-Muslim film produced by an Israeli living in California. That film also sparked protests and attacks on the U.S. Embassy in Cairo. President Obama has already put out a written statement this morning condemning the attacks, ordering increased security at American diplomatic posts around the world. Jake Tapper is at the White House right now.
Help to liberate Libya. So this is really going to be difficult moving forward. We expect Obama to address some of those issues.
I miss Jake right there. As we have said, the president about to speak any moment. Mitt Romney, his opponent for president right now, has already also spoken out condemning the attacks. Secretary of State Clinton spoke earlier this morning at the State Department expressing her condolences. I do think Jake Tapper is now wired up. Jake, the president had been informed of this early overnight and first had been told that the ambassador was unaccounted for. But as I say that now, the president is walking out. So let's go right behind you to the president of the United States.
Good morning. Every day, all across the world, American diplomats and civilians work tirelessly to advance the interests and values of our nation. Often, they are away from their families. Sometimes they brave great danger. Yesterday, 4 of these extraordinary Americans were killed in an attack on our diplomatic post in Benghazi. Among those killed was our ambassador, Chris Stevens, as well as Foreign Service Officer Sean Smith. We are still notifying the families of the others who were killed. And today, the American people stand united in holding the families of the 4 Americans in our thoughts and in our prayers. The United States condemns in the strongest terms this outrageous and shocking attack. We're working with the government of Libya to secure our diplomats. I've also directed my administration to increase our security at diplomatic posts around the world. And make no mistake, we will work with the Libyan government to bring to justice the killers who attacked our people. Since our founding, the United States has been a nation that respects all faiths. We reject all efforts to denigrate the religious beliefs of others. But there is absolutely no justification to this type of senseless violence. None. The world must stand together to unequivocally reject these brutal acts. Already, many Libyans have joined us in doing so, and this attack will not break the bonds between the United States and Libya. Libyan security personnel fought back against the attackers alongside Americans. Libyans helped some of our diplomats find safety, and they carried Ambassador Stevens's body to the hospital, where we tragically learned that he had died. It's especially tragic that Chris Stevens died in Benghazi because it is a city that he helped to save. At the height of the Libyan revolution, Chris led our diplomatic post in Benghazi. With characteristic skill, courage, and resolve, he built partnerships with Libyan revolutionaries and helped them as they planned to build a new Libya. When the Gaddafi regime came to an end, Chris was there to serve as our ambassador to the new Libya, and he worked tirelessly to support this young democracy, and I think both Secretary Clinton and I relied deeply on his knowledge of the situation on the ground there. He was a role model to all who worked with him and to the young diplomats who aspire to walk in his footsteps. Along with his colleagues, Chris died in a country that is still striving to emerge from the recent experience of war. Today, the loss of these 4 Americans is fresh, but our memories of them linger on. I have no doubt that their legacy will live on through the work that they did far from our shores and in the hearts of those who love them back home. Of course, yesterday was already a painful day for our nation as we marked the solemn memory of the 9/11 attacks. We mourned with the families who were lost on that day. I visited the graves of troops who made the ultimate sacrifice in Iraq and Afghanistan at the hallowed grounds of Arlington Cemetery, and had the opportunity to say thank you and visit some of our wounded warriors at Walter Reed. And then last night, we learned the news of this attack in Benghazi. As Americans, let us never, ever forget that our freedom is only sustained because there are people who are willing to fight for it, to stand up for it, and in some cases, lay down their lives for it. Our country is only as strong as the character of our people and the service of those, both civilian and military, who represent us around the globe. No acts of terror will ever shake the resolve of this great nation, alter that character, or eclipse the light of the values that we stand for. Today we mourn for more Americans who represent the very best of the United States of America. We will not waver in our commitment to see that justice is done for this terrible act, and make no mistake, justice will be done. But we also know that the lives these Americans led stand in stark contrast to those of their attackers. These 4 Americans stood up for freedom and human dignity. They should give every American great pride in the country that they served, and the hope that our flag represents to people around the globe who also yearn to live in freedom and with dignity. We grieve with their families, but let us carry on their memory, and let us continue their work of seeking a stronger America and a better world for all of our children. Thank you. May God bless the memory of those we lost, and may God bless the United States of America.
Was this an act of
President
war?
Obama with Secretary Clinton in the Rose Garden being asked if this was an act of war as he walks away. He is now heading to the State Department to express his condolences personally, calling this an outrageous and shocking attack, and he vows the killers will be brought to justice. I do want to go to Martha Raddatz now, who's been covering this all night long. And Martha, we heard the president there confirm the detail we had earlier gotten from Secretary Clinton that Ambassador Stevens was taken away by some Libyans who were trying to get him to a hospital to help him.
They apparently were, but the ambassador was unaccounted for a number of hours throughout the night. The president was told of that as well. I thought Secretary Clinton was especially shaken by this. She knows the ambassador so well. We still aren't certain how the ambassador died, but the Associated Press has interviewed a man who says he treated the ambassador in the hospital and he believes it was smoke inhalation, severe asphyxiation. He said he tried to revive Ambassador Stevens for about 90 minutes.
That's right. Several Americans were stuck in that consulate when it was set on fire by the militants. And of course, the militants inflamed by this pretty obscure film, Innocence of Muslims, only been shown once in its entirety in a movie theater in Hollywood. But the trailer has been out on the internet since July, and it's clearly inflaming Muslims around the world.
It really is. In fact, apparently they're blocking that YouTube in Afghanistan, and the Taliban is vowing revenge from Afghanistan. Our reporter Mohammed Leela tells us from there that the Taliban is issuing statements. Everyone is on guard, George. Everyone at all embassies now is on guard, on high alert. The U.S. fears this could spread.
Let me go to Jake Tapper with that. That was the first thing President Obama ordered in that statement he put out early this morning.
Yes, absolutely. They're very concerned about this. We've seen the riots in the Muslim street for years now, dating back a more recent example, or a less recent example, having to do with those cartoons in that newspaper in Europe. But I would like to touch on one thing. When President Obama was talking about potential involvement in Libya, this type of blowback, this type of unexpected consequence, unintended consequences, one of the things that he was concerned about and why he kept challenging his national security team when Secretary Clinton and others were pushing for involvement. And so we see that obviously there are always unintended consequences when the U.S. gets involved in a foreign country, George.
Marines are being sent there as well. Jake, this has also become part of the political debate. Mitt Romney, the president's opponent, is also weighing in this morning.
That's right. There's a lot of criticism of President Obama's lack of leadership by Republicans when it comes to the Arab Spring. We've heard some of that already. And then Mitt Romney putting out a statement criticizing the Obama administration for having their first reaction to be an apology for that film. Now, Romney is basing that on incorrect chronology. Actually, the statement apologizing for the bigotry in the film came out from the Cairo embassy before any of these attacks, but Mitt Romney doubling down, saying that when he sees a criticism, a point to criticize, he will do so, apparently even if it is not based in chronology, George.
Okay, Jake Tapper, Martha Raddatz, thanks very much.